In this video, we will show you how to replace your front inside door handle on this Honda Civic. This will be mounted directly to your door panel. Let's get into it. Okay friends, let's get started removing this door panel. To do that, we'll make our way right inside of where the inside door handle is. Use a small pocket screwdriver and remove the small trap door. We'll give it a quick inspection and set that aside. As we continue, you'll find that you have a Phillips head screw located directly behind this. Remove it. With that screw out of there, we'll continue on pulling on the inside door handle. If you were to move towards the front of the vehicle, you'll find that you have a small push clip also holding this door panel in place. We'll use a small screwdriver and press in on the center. That will unlock it. Now we'll continue with a pick, or even that small screwdriver, whatever works for you, and carefully try to pull this pin out of place. This can be a little bit difficult at times. Now here we have the push pin. You can see I have the center pushed out of place. Let's take that and push it right on back through the other direction. At this point, this push pin is in the unlock position. Set this aside. Now let's move just underneath that. We're going to start removing this trim panel. While doing so, keep in mind there's several switches, which means that there will be wiring located behind this area. Continue on with the trim tool and gently pop this up and out of place coming from the rear side here. Along the front, there's a small hook that comes underneath the door panel, so we'll lift this up and pull it rearward. There's that hook that I was talking about. Now under this area, we can continue on with removing our wiring harnesses. On each one of the wiring harnesses, you're going to find that it has a locking tab. You would want to press that towards the wires and gently pull this out of position. Once you do, go ahead and give that wiring a quick check for corrosion and set it aside. That one looks fine. Same process for this wiring harness. We'll press on that locking tab and give it a quick inspection. We'll also inspect the ports on the switches themselves to make sure those are not corroded. Let's set this aside. With that out of the way, we have a clear view of this Phillips head screw. Let's get that out of there. Now with that anchor bolt out of there, we're going to continue by removing the door panel using a trim tool, making our way all the way along the bottom side of this door panel, all the way around. Once we have the bottom pulled away, we can carefully start shimmying this up a little bit. Along the top of the door panel, there's a hooked area that sits into the door. Once we have it up high enough, we can start pulling this away. But keep in mind, there is cables that run along the backside here that go to the handle and the lock. Let's use our plastic trim tool to start separating this. So with this pulled away, you can see both of those cables. As for this top one, it's held in place into this plastic area attached to the handle itself. You can use a small pocket screwdriver and carefully pry that out of place. Once you have that out of place, we can continue on to removing it from the black plastic area. It has this locking pin on it. We just pulled that out of place using a small pocket screwdriver. Give the cable a quick inspection, make sure it is not damaged and it is still reusable. Now we can make our way down to this one. As for this clip, you're going to be using your small pocket screwdriver or pick. Inside of this squared out notch, there's a small locking tab. Generally, you can just grab onto that, give it a little tug, and this should want to separate. Now with that out of there, we'll continue following it down to this end. Once again, you have that black locking hook connector. You just want to use your small pocket screwdriver to pop that out of place. Now we can remove the cable. Set that aside. Now that we have the door panel off of the vehicle, let's continue on removing the inside door handle from the panel. Looking along the back side, you'll find that you have 4 locking tabs. There's 3 out in the open, one here, here, and here. The 4th one would be located behind this area. The way to gain access to that would be through along the top area. You can just make your way in and gently pry up against the locking tab. It would be essentially the same as when you pry up against this one. So what I'll do is I'll just take my small pocket screwdriver or trim tool. Carefully depress that locking tab while pressing down on the handle itself. I'm trying to apply a little bit of pressure. I'll make my way into this little panel area here and pry that one. And then along these other 2. Now we can remove that door handle from the panel itself. There it is, friends. On your original handle, we are going to remove this locking clip. To remove the locking clip, we'll be using a small pocket screwdriver. Carefully get in between the locking clip and the door handle itself and gently start prying this upward a little bit. Once you've done that to one side, we'll do the same to the other side of the clip. At that point, you can pull it out of place. There's 2 locking tabs, one here, one over there. All right, let's get ready for the installation of our brand new handle. We had removed that locking clip. Let's take this and put it in position, making sure that each of those locking tabs align with the corresponding rectangles. Press it in, listen for a click. We'll give it a tug to make sure it's secure. Have a look from the back side. That looks great. Now we can take this and put it in place in the door panel. This entire area will have to slide in and behind the door panel, so we'll be coming in at an angle. You want to make sure that you have this outboard part of the door handle along the outside of the door panel. Once you feel as though you have this area lined up, continue on pressing it in. Keep in mind there is 4 locking clips. Double check to make sure it's flush. At this point, I'll reach from the backside and try pushing it out. Grab right here real quick. Now I'm going to reach on the back, and I'm pushing, and it's definitely not popping out of place. Okay, now it's time to reinstall our door panel. Before we put this back into position, you remember that up along the top where the handle and door lock was, there needs to be 2 cables that go into the proper position. But aside from that, we had used a trim tool to start removing the lower aspect of the door panel. So with that said, along the bottom, there are several push tabs that you will want to align with the corresponding spots on the door itself. Let's start with the cables. Take the gray cable and start that one down along the bottom here. We'll be putting the little end into this red locking connector. Now with that pressed in, we'll make sure that we lock it in. Just swing that red tab over. Now that we have the cable in there, let's get it into our white locking connector. Try to get that back into the original position. And typically you would just squeeze this locking connector to hold it in place. If yours is broken, like ours is, and it just doesn't want to hold, you can try using a wire tie. We'll just use this to lock it in so it holds that cable for us. Now it's time for our next cable. Slide this right in there. We'll lock it in. Swing this white area over to where it connects in here. We'll press that right in. And now we'll make sure that we lock it in with this white locking tab. Continue on with the wires. We'll put those up and through that door handle area. And now we'll bring the door panel up nice and high and bring the lip down and over the door. Should want to slide right down on there. With the door panel pressed all the way down, we'll continue on by aligning our locking tabs with the door and press it into the proper position. Now we can put in our Phillips head anchor bolt. Reconnect the window switch, door lock, and mirror switches. Press that in as far as you can. Double check to make sure it's secure. Get a nice audible click from that one. Now we can start reattaching this to the door panel. As you remember, when you had removed it, along the forward area, there is this small hook. That hook will go underneath this door panel, right under this area. Let's take this and bring it in at an angle, and then lock it down into the proper position. I got the hook under there. We'll swing it down, press it until you hear a click, double check to make sure it's secured all the way around. Let's make our way back up to that inside door handle. We'll continue on with our Phillips head screw. Now it's time for the push clip. Make sure it is in the unlocked position with the center pulling up and away towards us. Once we have it in there, we'll drive this in so it's flush with the outer portion. Time for the trap door. Along this portion, you have a small hooked area. Just like with that little trim panel, you want to slide that behind the panel itself and then lock it in with this locking tab. Okay, friends, we fully installed our inside door handle assembly. At this point, you want to make sure you test its functionality. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.